Just can you guys see my screen? Okay, yeah. All right. So the last class, yesterday we just touched upon what are the different levels of why we have a framework, why we have implementation, and then further to that we saw how the actual class structure is, why it is important to design that in the right way so that we can decide to place the rules either at the organization level or the application level. Okay, so further to that, now today what we will do is we will start building the application so that we can build the end-to-end claims application that we want. Okay, so we will run the new application wizard, and then along that we will see how the class structure would be created. Okay, so give me a second, let me just launch my Pega application. Give me 1 second. So let's just see here. Okay, so you can see here I've already built the application, but we will run the new application wizard, and let's see how things turn out for this one. So that I'll just continue the explanation for this one. So this is you can see here, this is how the application structure would be. We'll talk about that in a bit. Right, so okay, so I will click on create new application, and okay, the application name that I will give for this, we will give, this is called as a processing. So it's like, I'm just giving it a processing application. So, and I will make this, we'll make it as framework and implementation. Okay, now in the advanced settings, like yesterday what we saw, I will make this as, so I'll have a division and a unit. Okay, and in the division I'm going to give it as a division is claims division, and the unit is I'm just giving it as a unit 1 here. Okay, so if you see the class structure now that will be created is AIG hyphen claims hyphen unit hyphen processing app hyphen work, and then you will have the case name. So if you remember the image we looked at yesterday, this one like this. So AI org hyphen claims app, the unit I give it as priority, but here I'm just giving the unit as unit 1. Okay, so now if you, this is how it looks like even for the framework layer, AIG hyphen FW hyphen the processing FW hyphen work. Okay, now I click save here. Like yesterday, let's move forward now. Okay, so in like in yesterday's assessment, so we entered all these things here. The fields that we entered are actually recorded here as well. So the steps. This is the one. So I want, this is the exercise, this is like the homework for you guys. The exercise that you have to do for building this application. So almost all the steps that I've taken here are recorded here in this case captured in the screenshot. You can see here very clearly I've shown this, right? So you have so this is, after this you have the step 4 business objective and the case types. So just try to use the same business objectives that I've mentioned here to enable mobile access, to get more conversion in terms of marketing to new people. Okay, or even I've put some other business objective as well. You can just enter that. Primarily it's just only for documentation, so wouldn't make much of a difference there. Now the case types, this is important. Okay, so here plan to keep so I think there's a validation error. Let's take a look at it. What is there here? Process FW is validation to save. I think it must already be having this one here. So the application, that's why I think it's giving me this validation error. I'm just get a different value here, but when you guys build it, I want you guys to build it with this configuration. Okay, I already have the application. That is the reason I'm just it doesn't allow to create the same thing again, so that's probably the error that I'm getting. Okay, I think I should build on Pega rules. Okay, build on application is Pega rules. Be careful about that as well. You see here on this image, this one is built on application is Pega rules, processing app, and all this. Okay, now the next thing here is click next. You have the business objectives that you can enter. Okay, and next thing is these two case types. So two case types that I wanted in the system is C claim, which is car insurance claim. Okay, and we call it as L claim, which is for life insurance claim. Okay, so this is again captured here in this image. Here you see here these two car C claim and L claim. Alright, and then in the data type we need to have something called as a claimant info. Okay, which is information about the person who is making the claim. Right. Okay, so going forward here. Right, so you have so you click preview, and actually we can see the entire class structure that the system is creating. Okay, so most of this we saw yesterday, but I wanted to cover a couple of things. So again, just to from a theoretical standpoint, Pega says these are the things that you should keep at the organization level, like with respect to the class structure. So the security, corporate logo and skin, corporate-wide data models, like customer info is something which is a corporate-wide data model because it's going to be used across multiple applications and multiple divisions and unit. Then you can have some common integration points. Okay. Now inside division, you can have a division-wide data model, like say for example for claims, you can have claimant info as a division-wide data model, and then you have division-wide letterhead, signature, office location, telephone numbers. These things, these rules you can put at the division level. Then at the framework level, we can have some common case types, flows, flow actions. and implementations at the implementation level, which is the most specific one, you can have the routing logic and SLAs and all this. All right. So this is the standard logic on how you divide or you take the call on placing the rules at the organization level or division or framework at the implementation level. Okay. Now, a couple of important things. Now, once you finish running this wizard, which is like you click create here, a couple of things that you need to understand. Okay, so let me just take a look at it. I'll show you that here. So you can see here that yeah, you see here this is the organization level, that is AIGI. Now within that you have the division, unit, then the implementation, and then finally the case. Okay, but this view that you have is actually of the your actual implementation level. Okay, so and you can see that at the org level you just have you don't have much things there, like you just have only an integration here. Okay, so which means that you can put some integration things there by default. Other than that, within the claims, when you look at within the claims, you can see a data layer there, an integration layer also there, which means that the data elements that you want that could include some data types, okay, or some, say for example, for a claims division, you can have the claimant info, which is the information about the claim, the person who's making the claim. That is, it could be his first name, last name, and things like that. That could be the data element which we can put at the division layer. Okay, that is something like claimant info or something like that. Okay, so something like that. Now, further to that, so at the division level, also you have both data and integration. Now, similarly, at the unit level as well, you have the data and integration. Okay. Now, implementation also, we have the data and the integration, and that is an important thing that you have to understand. So almost at all of the different levels that we have, along with the integration layers, we will have a sub data layer as well. Okay, so when I say the class name is org-division-unit, I essentially mean that under the division, before you even go to the unit level, we can have the data and the integration level as well. Okay, so this is just ensuring modularity in the application. That's all. Right. Now, if you take a look at the framework level, so this is the org. Then within the framework, we have the framework name. Again, there also you have the data and the integration level. Then within that you can have the case level as well. Remember, at the framework level you don't have any division and unit and all these things. Okay. Now remember, we yesterday I told you that we would see the directed inheritance for the parent. So now if you take a look at this image here, bit carefully here. So you can see here that this is the 𝐸𝐸 class, which is like our most specific class, AIG claim 1 proc work 𝐸𝐸. Okay, so you have pattern inheritance to inherit from the division, unit, EC, claim, and 1. So I'm assuming all of you know what is pattern inheritance. I'll just quickly go through that. Pattern inheritance is the inheritance which is by default present as per the class name. So if you have the class name like AIG-claim-1, so whenever you have a hyphenated values, you essentially mean that the pattern is like you go to one level above this. So you are at the 𝐸𝐸 level. The pattern inheritance is this one level above. Now similarly, the pattern inheritance is this one level above, and like this is one level above. So this is how you have pattern inheritance, is exactly on the name. So whenever I say that the class name is, say for example, like this one here. So this is the class name. Okay, this entire thing is a class name, AIG claim, priority claims, work underwriting. The immediate pattern inherited parent for this one is up to here, which is like we say that the class AIG claim priority claims at work. That is pattern inheritance, right? Directed inheritance is completely a different name that you can have, and yesterday, as I told you, you will have the directed inheritance for the framework class. So this is exactly the thing that you see here on this image, this one. So if you observe here on this one, you can see here directed inheritance is AIG FW proc FW work C claim, which is this one, this case here. Alright, so this is how you have the pattern inheritance and actually why you have the framework layers. Okay, so now this is
can you just show me again, please?
for the pattern undirected. Yeah, so here
No,
if the zoom in.
so pattern inheritance. Pattern inheritance is normal inheritance, right? Java.
Yeah, so
Here direct inheritance of this is the claim class.
so let's zoom in here. Give me a second. See, this is a pattern inheritance that we normally have in the same name itself. You can give the whatever the previous name is, like whatever the hyphenated value. So if I have the name like AIG claim 1 proc work C claim, the pattern inheritance for this entire case is the class name up to here, which is AIG claim 1 proc work. So the immediate parent is the pattern inheritance. So similarly in Java, when you have like com.pega.pega rules dot something, you can have the immediate parent as a package name above that, like the dot before that. So, but the actual pattern inheritance, it's the directed inheritance, you can give any random name for this one. If you see here, any name you can give here for the directed inheritance. So by default, when you run the wizard, you would see that Pega gives a framework class as a directed inheritance.
Okay. So it can be any class.
Yeah, you can give any class for that. You can give your own random class you can give. But by default, when you run the wizard, the way that Pega is architected is to give to inherit from the framework, they make use of this directed inheritance.
Okay.
Because if you don't do that, there is no need of having a pattern inheritance. Directed inheritance. Like basically, like, and there's no advantage of having the framework also if you don't inherit from it. So although you will build reusable entities at the framework layer, if you don't inherit it, there is no need. There is no advantage of having it, right?
Yeah. So if we give any class, it will keep it same. If we are not giving any class, PRPC will change it to framework level.
No. You by default when you run the wizard, it will make it framework. Okay. Now you go and you delete it from that, or it will not allow you to save. So basically, system always needs a directed inheritance. It will not allow you to save without that. It will give an error saying that directed inheritance is must, or some validation is there. So you have to have a directed parent. So there are scenarios where you can give both pattern inheritance and directed inheritance is the same class. So for this one, for this C claim here, I can give the same AIG claim 1 proc up to work as a directed inheritance as well. So I can give the same thing here also. Then also it's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay. Alright. So I hope that is clear to all of you. So, and then further to this one here, this is the application overview, if like the preview that we saw yesterday. I've just taken a screenshot of that and kept it. Just shown you how it actually looks like. So you have the reuse layer at the organization level. You see the top level class, you have the data layer, then you have the integration layer. And so just a couple of things that you need to just keep in mind. So if you see here, this image is like a little bit more, in another way you can represent it, you have the org, then within that you can have like division 1, division 2, right? And then within that you can have multiple units, and then you have the implementation. Now via directed inheritance, you get from this framework level application. And this framework level application inherits from Pega rules. Okay. So this is how you will have the class structure. And what I want you guys to do now is, if I need someone to volunteer so that we can do this exercise right away on your systems, and we can get started with the application build. Can anyone volunteer to do that? Anyone? Otherwise I'll just randomly pick some person. So okay, this is Pawan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Let me make you the presenter. So you have your Pega application running, right? So I would recommend all of you do that right away.
I have 7.1.6. Is that
Okay,
fine?
yeah, that's not a
Which
problem.
version you have to download?
I think probably keep 7.1 versions, whichever ML you have, that's all right. Just keep a 7.1 version.
I think the problem is like Ashok sent 7.2.1.
Oh, okay.
So,
Ashok, you there? Yeah, I'll just clarify that with Ashok. Ashok, you there? Yeah. So go to day 2.
Yeah, this is it.
Yeah. Yeah, correct. That's true. Yeah. So the exercise, and you have the information there. So you can give the name here, like process and create new application.
Oh, we can see this one also.
Yeah, yeah. Create new application. Yeah. So the rest of you folks, if you want, you can parallelly do it, or if you just want to observe, you can do that. But this is exactly what I just showed you like a minute ago. So it would be good if you can do it right away with us. So otherwise, take your time and do it later. It's a processing app actually.
Oh,
So just copy exactly what is there in that image. Right, so
wait, using implementation.
yeah, that's correct. That's correct. You're in the right direction. Yeah, now just scroll down. I think you can probably zoom in a bit if it's not a bit clear for you. Just, yep, so yeah, just scroll down a bit. You should be able to see that.
Oh, so we are just using same values, right?
Yeah, this, yeah, it's an advanced configuration. If you just scroll to your right, yeah, you can see those things. Yeah, a bit to your right, yeah. Just, you see there, yeah, that one. That's correct.
It automatically chose my framework layer.
Okay, so if you see an 𝐸𝐸𝐺 claim 1 proc work, yeah, perfect, scroll down. Okay, it said 𝐸𝐸𝐺 FW proc FW work, yeah, even that's also fine. See, at the end of the day, it's the same thing, 𝐸𝐸𝐺 FW proc FW work, okay? Now, if you scroll to the left, yeah, now you click on you click on save and you click on next. Yeah, you're doing good, that's right. Next. The org name, you put it as just only 𝐸𝐸𝐺. Don't put it as 𝐸𝐸𝐺I. Just click on the application settings again. Just keep it as all of you. Just make sure you keep your organization name as only 𝐸𝐸𝐺. And the reason why I'm saying that is because for now, when I share my wrap with you, it won't override the things you guys have done. So you can keep my application as like at the end of the course I'll share the wrap. So you can keep that as like a standard template or something like that. So if you have any doubt in some features, you can always check that application. So here business objective, you can say to enable mobile access.
Case types.
Yeah, now you can just put the case types here. So scroll down, you can see two things, C claim and L claim. So two case types we'll have. Okay. One is car insurance claim and
What are these countries?
yeah, so if you see here now, I've put on the data type, I've put I wanted to put two data types. One is claimant and for the division layer, and the country is also another data type, which shows a list of countries that are available to the, which is at the enterprise level. So we want to have a standard list of countries there. So just go to your application now. Yeah, here you can just give here like claimant info.
It's going to be at division layer.
No, yeah, this is at the division layer. Okay, you can add another data object, and which is like countries, and which is obviously the list of countries need to be present is something that can be reused at the enterprise level, right? Because other applications, other divisions, everyone needs a list of countries, right? And that's why. So if you click on now you can just click on create.
Oh, okay. I
Now
clicked
if you
create.
you click preview, and then you can see the same class structure that we had. So we can do that as well. So the rest of you folks, are you guys able to do it along, or you're just observing now? But either way, I think yeah. Let me know if you guys are facing any troubles there doing that. But I think this is how you would build an enterprise level application. So you don't have to break your head a lot about this because mostly this will be done by the architects, but you need to understand the enterprise class structure. So I hope you guys got a gist of it. So when you build this application, you will understand what the different layers are. So it's taking some time.
So Rahul, in general, in a big enterprise application, we can have multiple data objects, right? While creating application itself, the architects will do all this stuff.
No, not necessarily. So they will just, while creating itself, they will not put all the data objects. They may put some common known data objects. Like currently here, I know claimant info and countries list. So I think that's common. So I just put that. But there is no requirement that you have to put the case type or data type during the creation itself. You can put all that after the application is created also.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, now I think that's it. So yeah, log off and log in as admin at the rate AIG, and password by default is rules. Yeah, so you can, what I want you to do is click on the Application Explorer on the left hand side, the App Explorer. And you can see the class structure that you had. So you can see here AIG claim, one proc work, and C claim. So if you just click on that application, that bar there, just below the three application, you see the class names. Just delete, just keep only AIG and remove the AIG hyphen as well, even the hyphen also. Yeah. Click enter, and you should see the entire. So.
It's taking some time.
That's okay. I think what's your system RAM? If you want, I can tell you guys how to fine tune the application to be a bit more faster. Like, what's your system RAM?
I don't remember that.
Okay, so generally, like if any of you have a RAM more than 4 GB, then we can put some tuning in your Pega JVM to allocate about 4. Generally, it allocates only 2 GB of RAM for Pega. So you can make it 4 GB so that it runs more faster. Okay, yeah. Let me know if you guys want that configuration. If you have, it makes sense only if you have at least 8 GB or 16 GB RAM systems. Otherwise, it's just not that useful. Alright, so you can see here AIG, claim, data, framework, and all these things. So yeah, you can see here claim is your division. Within that you see 1, which is your unit. And you see now the data layer at the org level also. You can see that data, and then you have countries, the one that we created. Then you have the integration layer at the organization level as well. Yeah, so you see all different class structures here. So primarily these are just different modules. When you decide to place a rule in these levels, it has significant impact in that it can be shared across multiple places, or it can be more specific if you keep it at the most case type level. Okay, the most specific would be the case type level. Okay, alright, I think we are good here. So I want all the rest of you folks also to do this one and let me know if there is any doubt on this. Now what we can do now is I want to just show you a couple more things. Let me share my screen again. Alright, now what we will have here is like a quick thing that I'll tell you, which we will cover later as well in depth. There's something called as access of role to object. So because we have like these different modules here on the classes, we can give another advantage apart from modularizing the features is to give a role or privilege. So we have something called as access role, which is actually defined at the particular classes. So every individual class will have a privilege or access of role to object, which means that you can have it like this. So you can have it it's not yeah, so you can see here whether you can read instances of this particular class. You can write instance, you can read rules of this particular class or not, and then you can even see execute reports which are there in this class, execute activities, delete, all these things you can do. So basically at each of the classes you can, apart from just having a modularity, you can even aids in having a security aspect as well, which is also an important thing for you to understand. Okay, but this is just for your knowledge now. Towards the end of I think in the course we have an option, we will be touching about privileges and all that. Alright, I think that's the important thing that we had to cover. So I hope the class structure is understood. It's a very commonly asked interview question, and if you know it, it makes your life in the projects a lot more easier. Okay.
Can you explain about data classes in detail?
Yeah, so the data classes here, so if you now let me open my application here. So you can see here that now you have the case level for having the business logic. You can have your work objects run and all these things on your case rule. Okay, which is like if I have a car claims case, it will run, you'll have the business logic there, which is like the flow, the flow properties and all that you will have there. But what about the data? The data is like the content which we have. So either you can have the data for two things. One, you can have it for just holding the data structure. Okay, so that is the data structure. Second thing is to actually hold some content. Okay, so you can have, so these two things are separate from the business logic. So in the case rule form, so in the case or in the case classes, you can have the business logic. So I just name it as BL. Okay, now in the data classes, right, or similarly if I say for integration, you will have the integration logic, right? So similarly for the data, it serves two purposes. The data classes serve two purposes. One is a data structure and the other is a content. Okay, so let's take a look at probably just jot this down a bit. So if I say now, let's go by data classes. So one is you can structure defined. It is just to say like actually what we mean by this is what all properties are needed. Okay, that is what you will define in the data class. Another thing is you can have the data itself, it's a placeholder of data. Example, you have the list of countries, right? Then you can have some common data modeling, like say some email templates. Email templates, this is like something common which is used across industry. So these are the things that we will have for the data structure. So you have to define the data structure. So again, we have to define the data structure. Example, what all properties are needed. There will be a page list. Single property or a page group. I'll just say what all properties are needed. That's all there is to it. So that is why we have data classes. So data classes are an important thing. Another important thing is like they separate the business logic from the data structures. Right? So you have the business logic is what you can have people who are really good in data modeling work on just that portion of the system, and you can have people who are good in modeling the business logic work on that area. So data classes help in separating the business logic from the data structure, like you have a separate module for that. So these are three things why you actually have a data class. Okay. Now let me just show it to you here. So this, whenever you add a data class, it comes up here, right? It adds up like a data type. So let me show you the countries here what I had. Okay. So here you see the class. It says AIG data countries. Okay. So you see here the country name, and then I have something like from date or something. Right. So this is like, this has some properties, and you can have some standard records as well. So if you click on the records, you can see the country names here. Okay, I think I have to add it. I haven't added it. I think yeah, I don't think I've added it. So I can add the country names here. Say USA. I can add India. China. Okay. Right. So these are like a couple of things that we can add as a country name. Right. So which actually holds, like, this behaves exactly like a database table. In fact, in the backend, it is actually a database table. So if you click on here and show database information, it shows you that it is mapped to this database table. Right? And if you query this database table, you will find these records as well. So Pega just gives you an interface to hold the data that you want by having a data class. Okay, and you can decide some standard properties here. So if I want to just see just some standard, like the claimant info, the information about the claimant, this will not be holding the data actually. This data class is just to help us give the data structure. Basically, the person who's making the claim, what all properties he can have. He can have the first name, he can have the last name, he can have social security number, he can have the he can have country, date of birth, then he can have an address, which is like, it's a page group. I've just shown it here as an address list to have a page list alone, but, or you can have something like basic medical details, which is like another separate class, like vital stats. We will talk about data modeling in more depth, but for now, understand that the data classes are primarily serving the three purpose, what I just told you. Okay, just to have the data modeling, complex data modeling like this one. Suppose if I click visualize, you can see that the actual data structure. I think it works only in IE. Never mind. But you can see how complicated data structures can get and how we will be using that. Okay. So in our data modeling, we will be building this thing. In the data model, we will actually design the entire end-to-end data model. Okay. But for now, understand that data classes is for holding the data, having the data structures, and by doing these two, it helps in separating the business logic from the actual case type.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, right, so this is what we did. Now what we will do is Let me know if there are any doubts. If not, I will start introducing rule sets to you. Okay, and then tomorrow we will do this exercise on working with branches. But for now, we will do what is. I'll just tell you what is rule sets and all that. Okay, so primarily what you have to understand is, if I say the word rule set, okay, there are a couple of things that you need to keep in mind. So rule set, if you take the literal word meaning, it is rule plus set, which means that a set of rules, right? That's it. So rule set is supposed to be a placeholder of rules. So rules. Okay. Now this rule set can be again so whenever the important facet of having a rule set is the application that we have in Pega is a combination of, is defined by a combination of many rule sets. So whenever I say an application, it has actually nothing to do with classes. So if I open my application here, you will see that it is nothing but a combination of rule sets. You see here, it says application rule sets, and you see all the rule sets here. So it has no, there is nowhere in the application you say, okay, include these classes. You don't never say that. You always say include these rule sets. So application is nothing but a combination of different rule sets. Okay. So by combination of rule sets. So now again within the rule set we can have a couple of things. So so if you see here, now every rule set will have like a couple of versions. Like primarily this is just to support versioning. So rule set has a couple of advantages. It's like you have the versionings. So you have every version of a rule set, okay, is defined by 3 values, right? Basically, I like 3 2-digit values. The ones you see here, the first 2 digits after which a hyphen is there, and the second 2 digits, and then the third 2 digits. Okay, the first 2 digits are called as a major version. Okay, then you have something called as a minor version, after which you can have the patch version, right? So you can, what is important to understand is so what is important to understand here is each of these have a significance, right? So the major version is like I mean, we will talk about the significance in a bit, but to understand, you have to keep in mind that always whenever you see a rule set, it has multiple versions like these, and all these multiple versions are actually identified by having a 6 digits actually. So each 2 digits separated by hyphens within each other. Okay, so let's see what is the impact of having a major version and minor version. Like, why do we have to go for this much of difficulty? Like, why can't we just, isn't it a lot easier just to say that rule set version 1, version 2, version 3? Isn't it easier to do it this way? But why they made it complicated to have these 3 levels? Okay, that is important for you to understand. So the reason why this complication is introduced is because, suppose let me just say an alternate design was rule set 1. I'll just say V1. Okay, and I can just have rule set V2, and I can just have rule set V2. Okay, now what if basically these multiple versions, multiple subdivisions, or 2-digit numbers that we have are introduced, these major minor patch versions are introduced primarily to support just to support some additional functionality, which is not achievable if I have simple Ruleset version 1, version 2, version 3. Okay, the reason why we the additional features that we want to support is, first one, suppose I want to introduce a role in V2, okay, which I don't want the rules in V1 to know or to access. So I can have V2 should rules in V2, okay, should not access rules in V1. Okay, this is one feature I want to achieve. Okay, this is one feature. Then I need another feature, which is rules in V2 should access rules in V1. So both these I want to have, right? So now I need to separate that using some logic, right? So if I have only one identification like V1 and V2, I cannot do that. So I have to have some additional identification. So I will have now V1 hyphen something like V1, okay? Then I can have it as, here I need to have it as V1 hyphen V2. So then I will have here V2 hyphen V3. So what happens here is, now because I introduce like one more level here, what happens now is I will say that when the first digit is same, then I can access it. But if the first digit is not the same, then I cannot access it. So both my features are achieved now. So if I say should access, which means that this, I will tell the logic to the system that if these two are same, allow the other versions within them to access the rules between each other. Now if I put V2 here, then I will say don't access. Okay, in this way, this feature is also achieved for me, right? So essentially at the end of the day, what I'm doing is I'm trying to achieve some additional logic by having this kind of a feature. Now over the course of time, because Pega development generally can go for like years together, so you might want not just like these two levels like this. You might want, like currently if you have just one number, okay, so which means that I can go 1 all the way up to 9 or another 0. So basically I can just have only 10 versions, so which is less for an enterprise level. So Pega decided to introduce at least 99 times 99 combination. Okay, that is done using these two numbers. So that is like you can have 99 hyphen 99 then hyphen 99. So what happens here is, so these 99 is the first one which is used to achieve these two logics. Okay, so rules in V2 should access or should not access, that I will put in this 99. Now this is just the actual combinations that I can have. So I can have so it's not even 999 times 99, it's actually, if you see the computation, it's 9 times 9 times 9 times 9. So because these two this can be run from 1 to 0, this can be 1 to 0, 1 to 0, 1 to 0. Not even 9 actually, I think you can have it 10 times. So numbers in there, right? So it's 10 times combinations. So which means that this particular number can be, they can have 10 combinations, this can have 10 combinations, this can have 10 combinations, and this can have 10 combinations. So at the end of the day, you are having like about 1,000 combinations that you can have for 1,000 versions of the rule set is what Pega supports. Okay, but again, if you think after that you can even change the version of this one, and then it becomes 10,000, then it becomes 100,000. Alright, so that is a reason to achieve these combinations and these features is why Pega has this kind of a naming structure, like our rule set current version levels. So like let's just see what we learned now. Just let's test this in practice. So if I have two versions of the rule like this, activity A, and I have like a rule activity B. Okay, now both of this is in O1, O1, O1 and O1, O1, O2. Now the rule B can access the rule A, okay, because B is in the higher level and it can access the rule in the lower level, okay. That is higher to lower visibility is there. Simple, right? Now further to this, now if I say activity C to A is not possible because this is in a higher, like the major version is different. This is 02, so it says that no visibility between major rule set versions. Okay. Now if you see here, now this is now all within the same rule set. You see here processing app. Now if I go for a different rule set here, like 𝐸𝐬𝐢𝐵, then the thing what you have to understand is, can the rule set processing app access rule set 𝐸𝐬𝐢𝐵? So this is important now. Can this entire rule set itself, although now the versions are all okay, but can the same can a different rule set access another one? Do they have dependency or not? That's a question. So that is dependent on something called as application rule set stack. That is what I think I'll cover with you guys tomorrow. Okay. For now, understand that within the same rule set, so you can access between minor versions and patch versions. The major version you cannot access across different versions here. Okay. So we will take a look at the rule set stack. Oops. Give me a second. We'll take a look at the rule set stack in tomorrow's session. And in the meantime, let me know if there are any doubts, anything that you guys want to clarify. Okay, I see there are no doubts. So,
Rahul, do you hear me?
yeah.
Yeah, so you mentioned about increasing the cache, right? So can you share that tip, how to do the performance?
Sure. I'll just show that to you so that it's a bit more clear. I'll just explain that to everyone. So I think officially the class is over, so if someone wants to drop off, you can drop off. But I will show you this. But this is important to know as well. So let me just show that to you. Give me a second. Yeah, so here. So you need to go to the set environment.bat in the Tomcat bin folder. Okay, so I'll just put this a bit more clear. Right, so you can see once you go to the set environment.bat, you need to remove the existing parameters and insert this below parameter here on this one. Okay, so that is, so currently you are setting the Java options, which is like the perm size and the memory allocation for this. So by default, I think it will be only 2048, which is like 2 GB, 2048 megabytes. So now we say that it's up from 2048 all the way up to 4096. So you just need to open this file and you need to just ram the existing parameters, which is like ram is like comment, and then you allocate this. This is the only line that you have to put inside that set environment.bat. So I will share this document with you guys just in a bit.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. I think that's all from my end. Let's meet up same time tomorrow, and I think we will continue the class. Okay. Make sure you guys do the exercise, the application that I've given you. I will give you a break in between, like a day's break, so you guys can continue do that application. Okay, and make sure you build this one also, what we did today. This shouldn't take much time. It's a quick one. So complete that one, and let's meet tomorrow at the same time. Okay. Good day, everyone.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for your time.
Bye.
Bye.